So hello everybody, it is me, Demetra K, and I am sitting here with Walter Coulter of Verbal Herb and a whole host of other things. It is Wealth Wednesdays with Walter, where we discuss everything concerning money, how to make it, how to spend it, and how to keep it, and everything else in between. Of course, Walter is our resident financial guru. He has worked with a whole host of people, including a person's name I probably shouldn't say right now because he's not very popular. But he's worked with a lot of athletes, celebrities, and everyday people and showing us how to improve our lives financially. And so that's what he does here on Wealth Wednesdays. He answers the questions from the audience. And of course, whatever questions you may have, please feel free to throw it in the comment section, and we will be more than happy to address them. Of course, on the Demetra K Show, we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always strive to do better. So today we are going to talk about life insurance. And I saw Michael Blackson, the comedian, he actually tweeted about it. It was pretty funny, but very telling as well. And so shortly we're going to get into that. And we're also going to talk about how rents are going up for apartments and housing everywhere. I'm going to show you a notice that somebody received in regards to their rent going up in January. So it's pretty startling if you ask me. So Walter, before we get started, let's see who's on here really quick. Andre, how you doing? He says, yeah, I don't need any advice from him. I think you're talking about Michael Blackson. Learn from others in my family who didn't have whole life insurance. Okay. Shiloh, how you doing? It says, as a multi-state, multi-licensed insurance adjuster and life insurance producer, I can confirm playing the insurance cards right now, right, not fraud, can change your life and others for the better. You also say, I am referring to universal life policies, which build cash value, try and max those out over a 5-year period in contributions. It will hurt at first putting away $11,000 to $15,000 average annually into it. You also say if you overfund it, it becomes modified endowment contract and a taxable asset. If you fund it right, you can take tax-free loans on it. No need to pay back, plus interest keeps growing. Hello, Brother Joe Nell. So Walter, what say you before we get started?
No, I'm just happy to finally talk about get to the money. You know me, nothing ever changed.
Got you. So what it is I don't say this off the top. Neither one of us are licensed to sell insurance. However, we have extensive background in life insurance. I'm not licensed anymore. I was licensed in California. I'm in Houston now. Walter's no longer in selling life insurance. I just want to say that right off the top. But the tweet that I saw from that of Michael Blackson said this. Of course, y'all know he's a comedian, so he's going to be funny. But he says, please get life insurance and leave something for your kids when you are gone. When my dad died, he left 7 kids, 1 goat, and we ate that nigga 8 years ago. So basically, he said that they ate the goat 8 years ago because that's all that he left. But, you know, while Michael Blackson, who I find to be very funny, was, I guess, being funny, but also telling people, hey, you know what, go ahead and get some life insurance. You know, I think that we should talk about it. We do talk about it quite a bit on this show, but we want to dedicate the show to talking about it. And so it should be said that in 2021, 52% of Americans are insured. It said it is down about 63% since 2011. Over 100 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. 56% of Black people have life insurance. In fact, Black people are amongst the most insured people in the United States. However, we tend to be the most underinsured in that we can't replace an income because, you know, when somebody dies and let's say they were working or what have you, that income also goes with them. So we can't replace the income. We don't benefit from the cash value options. And I guess among some of the most important things, we do not benefit from a wealth transfer. And so it is said that we as Black people tend to be not very trusting of salespeople and the life insurance process. And in some cases, we just do not know how it works, what kind of policies are there and what they do. And so we are going to get into that. And Walter is going to help us understand a life insurance a little bit more. Typically on our money shows, we don't have a large audience, but that's okay. It is pretty intimate, and we get to really have a one-on-one with the audience. So, Walter, what say you about this tweet here from Michael Blackson?
Well, it's crazy that celebrities, when they come out, people tend to get more, more awareness, which is good. So I guess it would be good to have more celebrities come out and talk about this. Because it's not a joke. I mean, I know he's being funny. He's a comedian, but when you leave your family with nothing, it happens to black kids all day. Every day, a black kid gets left with no money, which is crazy to me because it's like 30, 40, 50 bucks. You can leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on life insurance. It may not be permanent, but some insurance, and I mean the right insurance. Like, I use AIG and LSW, and I'm not giving those guys telling you to go there and none of that stuff. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I use them, and my term policy for $1 million is $75. And then I got whole life that you can put money into. I have one of those too, because I use them both. The term policy is just a bridge, and the whole life is something I could put $1,000, $2,000 a month away into, and that's money for 20, 30 years that I can borrow from and do all kinds of cool things with. But as far as the term, like you got kids, and your kid is 2, and your kid's gonna need support until they're at least 20, 21, some of them 30. Just get the insurance and you keep it. I cannot tell you what the peace of mind is knowing that something happens to me, my kids are straight. Plus you give them instructions on what to do with it. So the life insurance thing, a lot of black people have it. We just have the wrong insurance. We have whole life. My mama got a policy with $8,000 on it. I mean, I guess that's better than nothing, but it's time to become educated. And it's unfortunate, we have the baby boomers are starting to die. There's a lot of black baby boomers. And so as we leave and not leave our kids wealth, we're going to suffer even more. So, and one way to build the wealth gap in one generation, everybody get a shit ton of life insurance. Everyone has a lot of life insurance. And then when we die or that generation dies, the kids inherit all this wealth, assuming they have proper instruction.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, like I said, I used to sell life insurance, and my market just happened to be our people. I'll go ahead and take this down. My market happened to be our people, black people, and other people, but predominantly was our people. And I did okay in life insurance, but some of the things that I would hear from our people, one of the things I think it was a lot of is, oh, that's a bill. I could do something else with that money. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess you can consider it as a bill, but how many, times have your light bill said, hey, you know what? I know you really need it. Here, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give it back to you, or, help you bury someone. And oftentimes they would say, yeah, I get the point. But a lot of times they were just like, nah, I don't want to, spend the money. And I can't tell you how many times I would have people call me and say, hey, you know what? My mom passed away, and I saw that she had a policy. Is the policy still good? And so I would, type all the information in. And sometimes I'd have to say, well, unfortunately, your mom let the policy lapse. And of course, you have the uncomfortable conversation of, oh my God, my mama was giving you all this money. And, now y'all ain't going to honor the policy. And it's like, gosh, I wish that we would really learn. Hey, Romel, I wish we would really learn how life insurance works. And yeah, if you're paying into it and you don't continue to pay, it does lapse and it is no good. I mean, I even had to tell somebody, I didn't have to, but I just thought, what else can they do, right? Because I think it was their father had passed away. The policy had lapsed. And I said, well, I know this is probably not going to be very popular, because they said, we don't know how we're going to bury our loved one, this, that, and the other. I said, well, you can always donate the body to science. There's a lot of medical schools, who will take cadavers. I know that's not something we want to do with our loved ones, but it was an option. At one point in time, I think it was like 2011, somewhere around there, in Los Angeles County, they were having to burn or cremate people because the county morgue was full to capacity. And that was largely due to people not being able to come get mom out the, the morgue, the county morgue, or, for the barrier. So they would have to cremate people's loved ones. And so that could all be avoided by having a simple life insurance policy. Great. If you don't want something that has cash value, or you have to, spend a little bit more money on, like Walter said, there's a term policy. There's other things that you could do, but it should never be an excuse. And I actually came up with this phrase, if you will: how many car washes does it take to have a funeral? Well, I came up with that because often we see people on the corners having car washes because somebody passed away for whatever reason. And every time I pass those car washes for a funeral, I'm like, well, how many times does somebody call you? Because a lot of times when you're in life insurance market, and Shiloh, I think you can attest to that if you're still here, you get referrals. They call it your warm market. So how many times does somebody call that person and say, hey, your friend referred me to you, and I sell life insurance, blah, 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 I'd like to come see you. And you said, no, I'm not interested. How many times did somebody actually come sit down with you? And I'm talking about the people who are selling, trying to have car washes for funerals. How many times did they actually come sit down with you and have a conversation about the importance of life insurance? And you just said, nah, I'm good. I don't need it. It's a bill. I can't afford it. And then there you are on the corner trying to bury someone. And so again, going back to how many car washes does it take to have a funeral? Well, who knows? Maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe a big time baller will come and feel sorry for you and say, you know what? How much does it cost to bury your mom? I don't know. I think it's $15,000. And they'll just write you a check and give you the money. And now that's probably not ever going to happen. And so you may spend a copious amount of weekends and days on that corner trying to get enough to bury your loved one. And does anybody know, Shiloh, I know you know, how much does it actually cost to bury somebody nowadays, right? It's expensive. It's expensive to die, right? And so we're going to have that conversation about it. But I just think it's very sad and unfortunate that people do not realize just how important it is to actually protect against death, because that's what it is. And so let's see who else came on here. Romel, how you doing? How you doing? And Sugar Honey Iced Tea, how you doing? Since some of y'all jobs will have a policy on you. They have it low cost, and if you die with naming a beneficiary, the company gets paid off of you. Yeah, and a lot of times they call that key person insurance. And then sometimes, again, maybe not a key person, which means you're an important person in the company. They'll have you insured, but you can, if you can't afford it outside of the job, you can get insurance on the job. However, that insurance does not go with you most of the time when you leave that job. So let's just say you started a job when you were 19. You retire when you're 59, 69, or whatever. So 50 years later, guess what? You're 50 years older. So when you leave that job, they say, thank you, here's your watch. You were a great employee. And you say, well, what about my insurance? Oh, no, that doesn't go with you. So guess what you have to do? You have to go get a new insurance policy, and they rate you at the age of 59 or 69. So from the age of 19 to 69, you probably have some health problems. Maybe you got, have some surgeries, and you're older. That's another thing. You're older. So now you have to pay a higher price opposed to getting it early. And Walter, I know I'm running my mouth, so go ahead and take it away.
No, go ahead. No, I'm listening. Shit, sometimes I need to be reminded. I mean, yeah, this it's actually an easy problem to fix. You just have to make it like you have to wake up and go, okay, I care enough about me and my family to not be a burden to them. Like if you die and don't leave them with anything, that just makes you a horrible person. The fact that you know the information already. Number two, some of these life insurance policies have critical illness and things on it. So if something happens to you and you need to be well taken care of, then you have the money coming from these companies. So you have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 that will come to you. I mean, and I don't understand. Like, okay, if you don't love your kids enough, fine. But how about you? Like I watched a lot of these doctor shows lately. I don't know why I got stuck watching The Resident. And I'll tell you, that's just a constant reminder to me that I don't want somebody wiping my behind. Or like, you see these people dying in hospice and all this stuff. and they're alone. They don't have nobody like with them. They don't have any money being taken care of. They're just taking care of them. They're just on their own. And it was 50 to $100 a month. Could have got you protection for that stuff. And people say, I get it, I don't have the money. That's just not true. If you work and all your money goes to food, shelter, and you're not blowing money on extra stuff, then yeah, I get it. But not most of us ain't spending all of our money on bills. We have discretionary stuff. And so if you're the type of person that can't go out and get life insurance, knowing what you know, that just makes you a horrible person. Like this whole thing with the wealth gap, I hear it. But if black people in 1960, all of them had $1 million life insurance policy and we were given instructions, the wealth gap would be a thing of the past. Die and leave me $2 million and see what happens to the wealth gap between me and whoever you compare me to. It's a cheap fix. It's a cheap fix. You get life insurance. And the next person is doing well. And then the people in front of you, make sure they get life insurance if they can get it. Like the problem with us is we find out, like I've been selling life insurance for some time. My mom sold life insurance, right? But by the time we get really educated on it, we're in our 40s and 50s and our parents are already 60 and 70, right? So for me to get life insurance on my father is a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? Especially as they get in their 70s and 80s. I mean, the insurance company, statistically, they are dead once they get 80 to an insurance company on paper. And it becomes prohibitive financially to insure these people. So the sooner we start, the better. I have all my kids insured, and for a bunch of money, a bunch of money, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on each one of my kids. And that's really, really cheap. You can put $100 a month away for your kid, do that for 15, 20 years, and then when they get old enough, they can take it over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I also have myself and my daughter insured, and our father is insured as well. Actually, I wrote the policies when I was selling life insurance, so we had them for quite a while. But I would personally keep the life insurance policies on my daughter, but she's almost 30. But and I've had it for a while, so I'm going to keep them. When she wants to get her own and she gets married and all that, they could do that. And I advise upon that. And this is another thing too. I always tell people, and Shiloh, maybe you can speak to this, and Walter, I know you can speak to this as well. How many times have y'all heard the wife against the mother argument? All right. So what do I mean by that? Let's say, God forbid, the wife's husband dies, right? And she doesn't have him insured. She finds out the mom has him insured. So then she starts fighting with the mama. Well, that you insure my husband. I think I should get the money too, and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And then the wife goes on to try to demonize the mama. And the mama's like, wait a minute, I had him insured since he was a child. How do you feel like you're entitled to this money? But the simple answer would have been, well, and I say this to everybody, when you get married, one of the first things you do is get your spouse insured. Get them insured so that way you won't have that, the mother-in-law, father-in-law argument about how you're a horrible person. He was married to me and all of that stuff. Is like, get your man or your woman insured. And so you don't have to fight with the in-laws. God forbid that person passes away. But just to assume that, well, me and my mom-in-law, we cool, and if anything happened to him, she gonna give me some money. That's false. Because at that point, if you're married to somebody, that your spouse is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of their parent. And in fact, with the parent's life insurance policy, they don't even have to bury him. They can say, well, I was just taking the money out, in case something happened to him so I can be all right. So, I mean, if you, like I said, you get a new spouse, get insurance on it as much as you can. That way you can protect against death, because if they're working and something happens to them, there goes that income. And we're going to have another conversation about that. But Walter, what do you say about that? Who else came on here? Monet, what's going on with you? And Shiloh, you say, and Marvin as well, how you doing? Shiloh says, priorities don't pick people. People select their priorities. I love that. And Romel says the wife would be in the wrong asking for something she should have kept up with paying the insurance. I totally agree. But I've had that conversation with people. I'm like, ain't nothing I can do about it.
I don't. And this thing about life insurance just blows me away. It just I don't understand. You have auto insurance. Why wouldn't you have life insurance? I mean, if most of y'all, if you drop your cell phone in the toilet, you got insurance.
Well, the difference between life insurance and car insurance is what? Car insurance is mandatory. Life insurance is not mandatory. Come on now. You know, if life and car insurance wasn't mandatory, it'd be a whole lot of people wrecking into people with no insurance, and you be having to use your uninsured motorist insurance. And that's one thing I learned, not to get off on car insurance from my mama. She says, I don't care what you driving. You get full coverage and you get uninsured motorists, because if somebody rolling around out there, irresponsible, and they may run into you and you're going to be up the creek without a paddle. So always carry uninsured motorists. Yes, a tiny bit more, but it's worth it when you have to have that conversation with somebody who's rear-ended you, tow your car, or, I ain't insured. That happened to my daughter and myself. We got into a major accident a couple of years ago. My daughter broke, both her wrists, and, we were hurt pretty bad. And the guy, he cut us off on the freeway and rush hour traffic, got out of the car and says, oh my God, I'm so scared I don't have insurance. And I'm like, all right, not a big deal, because guess what? We got uninsured motors and it paid off. So,
I mean, they still, right. I mean, but yeah, they still should have it. I mean, that sucks. And the crazy part about insurance is just something that you do. When it comes to finances, when you get paid, you put some money where it goes, and you guys put the stuff on automatic. I have my life insurance, all my policies on automatic payment, and nope, that's so funny. Obamacare ain't paying for that. No, but don't say it too loud. The Democrats, they'll add and they'll tax it. The insurance will be 4 times as much. And don't get me started about Obamacare. So my Obamacare, they wanted $800 a month. We'll talk about something that a whole nother time. So just go out. Like, I use AIG and LSW. Those are just the companies I use. AIG is pretty flexible. They're cash value policies, and they're somewhat decent when it comes to underwriting. They don't beat you over the head. So they're easy to get them, put them on automatic pilot, and you forget about them. I'm telling you, like, and if you're married and your wife don't work, everybody in the house needs to have insurance. Oh, my wife ain't working. She don't. Yes, she do, because if something happens to her, you got the kids, the house, and everything. So I know a lot of you brothers, who have wives at home. I'm sure they do a lot of the household stuff, keeping the household together. So you want to make sure she's insured. Same with the children. The reason I keep my kids insured for so much money, one, if something happened to one of my kids, the fact that I wouldn't be able to work, I would be devastated. And I don't want to be going through that, trying to make decisions and work and all that stuff. If something happens, I just want to be able to say, you know what? We're going to take some time off. We can mourn properly. We can make sure everything is in a row. We ain't going to be out here arguing and fighting. You know what I'm saying? So something happens to one of my kids, and $500,000 pays out. The family can stop, spend time together. We can take trips. You know what I'm saying? We can start a foundation in their name. We can do all kinds of stuff. But we've got to have this conversation, and the conversation goes, you big dummy, get some life insurance. Not, oh, why do you need to protect your family? And that's how you protect the wealth gap, is by doing that. Period. And if you're in a relationship, you got a boyfriend, girlfriend, you should have them insured. Period.
And I think the other thing, and Romel, very smart to have the grandkids insured as well. I think that's responsible too, to have your grandchildren insured. It doesn't take away from their parents having them insured. It's just extra insurance to make sure that they are covered. God forbid something happened to them. And you can get a baby insured at 10 days old, and that price will stay that way depending on what policy you get until they're grown, and God forbid they pass away. And so 10 days old, you can get a baby insured. But Walter, let's talk about this for a second, because I used to work at Frito-Lay, which was a factory. Obviously, you guys know that is a chip factory back in the 90s. And I would often see people come in and out of there. Let's say they had a husband or a wife or a child or somebody die. And it seemed like they would come right back to work. Now, most jobs offer a bereavement. At Frito-Lay, I think it was 3 days paid bereavement, a total of 5. So 2 days unpaid, 3 days paid. And so I thought about it. I'm like, how the hell y'all coming back up in here after you losing your husband or your wife? And I asked one lady, and she says, I have to. I cannot afford to not work. And I have to be here. And they only give me 5 days bereavement. And then, maybe you can use your vacation and all of that. But to me, I would be like, well, if I had a life insurance policy and something happened to my loved one, my husband, my daughter or something, I'm probably not going to come back to work. Because for one, I'm going to be probably going nuts. I'm going to be grieving and all of that. The last thing I want to do is be packing chips, and dealing with crying and breaking down. And so my brother, Walter here, came to me when I was about 23 years old. I never forget, he was in my kitchen, and he had just started selling life insurance, and I was next on his list. So he came to me, he was like, you need to get life insurance for yourself and your daughter. And I was like, that's a bill. Acting real stupid. So finally, he, talked some sense into me, and I did get insured. My daughter's insured as well. But he said to me, get enough insurance to where, God forbid, something happened to you. What would you want your daughter to do? Now, at the time, my daughter's like 2 or 3. He says, what would you want your daughter to do if you were not here? I said, well, I would want her to go to college. I would want her to get married and, have a house and a car. He says, so those are the things that you need to think about when getting a life insurance. Get enough money to, God forbid, you were to pass today, that she would have those things. And this is another thing we don't think about as parents. Sometimes when we die, we leave our children with people who are pissed that we left them with them and left them with no money.
And they're going to treat them like crap. They're going to treat them like beloved. They're going to be the Black Cinderella. You can believe that. And it happens all the time. Let me paint a scenario for you. You have kids and you leave somebody $1 million, or you leave them let's say you got 4 kids and you leave them $250,000, and you leave them instructions. Something happens to me, take $200,000, put down on an apartment building, a little 5-6 units somewhere, and you pay the mortgage on it and you keep the difference, number one. And then you take another $200,000-$300,000 and you go buy you another small apartment building in another area, and you take the income from that and you pay, and then you can live on it. You could do that 3 or 4 times. Do you know what I'm saying? There's certain things you could do. Hell, with $1 million, you can go to Texas and buy 4 or 5 houses right now. Or, me, I like multi-units. That's where I'm investing now, because you get more bang for your buck owning 10 units in one building instead of one single family and praying to God they pay the rent. So, but even if you bought 4 single family homes and they were each paying you $1,500 a month, that's $6,000 a month from the $1 million. 72,000. You understand what I'm saying? There's 7% on your money. Now, there's better ways to do that, but I'm just saying, if you're the type of person that said, I ain't gonna deal with it, I'm just gonna write a check, you could collect that $6,000 a month, and you could use that, take 3 of it to take care of the 4 kids, and you put the other 3 in the casino, or whatever you're gonna do. Oh, stop acting like people ain't gonna have their ass at the casino if they got $1 million. I know I would. So, and you take that other money and you spend it on what you want to do. That's the way it should be. And that will cost you $50, $100, $150 depending on your age. That's it. And then you insure everybody around you. Period. Girlfriends, boyfriends, everybody is protected. You see what I'm saying? So now our people, we can play catch up because we ain't gonna never catch up any other way. I can tell you, black people, the wealth gap ain't gonna ever catch up to white folks ever, ever, ever. It's just it's too far because this life insurance conversation we're having, they have all the time. They've been having this conversation. And yeah, I know how they got into position. I get all that stuff, but we have to deal with today. You understand what I'm saying? So, one way to fill the wealth gap is through life insurance. Number one. Two, and we don't have to have, let's say white people, their average wealth is 500,000 and our wealth, um, black wealth, is 200,000. We don't have to have the same amount of wealth as what you do with the money. If I have $200,000 and I'm making 30% on it by moving it around, do you understand what I'm saying? I'm making $60,000 a year extra on top of the money that I get from working, my side hustles, my tour, all the things I'm doing, so we can catch up. But the problem is we have too many distractions. And it takes somebody like Michael Blackson to get the conversation started. And he's a comedian. But I guess more entertainers should engage. But that's easy. That's an easy fix for the wealth gap.
What do you say about this here? Hey Al, how you doing? It says when a black parent dies, only the favorite child is hooked and caked up.
I mean, that's not true. Maybe it happened to Al, but I mean, I haven't seen that. I know when black parents die and they don't have insurance, it's a mess. Ain't no favorite in the house. It's a hot mess. So it's crazy to me. It's like I wish there was a way we could put life insurance into like a hit. Maybe I can call Sweetie and be like, "Yo, can we do a money?" Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna do that. Have her do a money song. Like a rapper or somebody just comes out and says, "Listen, here's swag. You know what swag is? Having money saved. You know what swag is? Knowing that if I die, my kids are straight. That's real swag. You having a Cadillac Escalade is not swag because that Escalade, especially if you paint on it, what can you do to it if something happens to you versus the life insurance money, right? And right now, what's going on in the world? The world is falling apart financially. It is a disaster. The world is falling apart. So like England right now, they're having so many problems. Their central bank, they come out and the market will drop 3, 4, 5%. That's what's on behind me, Bloomberg. That TV has been on 24-hour news. There's so much going on. The Federal Reserve and bank earnings are starting to come out right now. So these companies are getting killed. Intel just laid off a bunch of people. And this is a chip company. Like we had a chip shortage, but Intel is laying people off. So what's happening is the stock market is, I don't want to say at a low, but it's down there. So there's things we could do. And I've had this conversation for years. Like you could take $200 a day or $100 a week, whatever it is, and you could buy, get into buy stock options. There's a lot to it, but you could learn it. And if you were serious, I could help you with it for a small fee.
But just really on a layman term, because a lot of people, and I get what you're saying about investing the money and all that other stuff, but some people really just don't even realize why they need the insurance. You know what I mean? As crazy as it sounds, just a lot of people really just don't. Because I've also heard this when I would go see people. Well, I ain't gonna be here. It ain't gonna bother me. I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be here to worry about it. It's like, well, that's very selfish of you, because how would you feel if somebody did that to you and you heard them say, "Well, you deal with it. You deal with trying to figure out how to bury me because I'm irresponsible and don't feel like I need life insurance." And that is very hard to do, to bury somebody without it. And so I just really don't think people understand the gravity of what they do to people when they leave here uninsured. I mean,
And we just take you and we'll back. Matter of fact, we'll tell the hospital we'll take him and we'll back off a cliff and make sure by the time you hit the bottom there will be nothing left, or pull up to a shark tank. I mean, like seriously, like man, you know what really sucks is when I used to sell life insurance. You know, I would hear black people and Mexican people and people of color say dumb shit like that. Oh, she gonna be with Sancho. I don't care if she with Sancho Rita. I don't care. If I'm dead, what she does is her business. What I'm concerned about is my kids and my loved ones. What happened in my business? What happened? I mean, you should take care of your wife. It ain't fair that she can't move on because you dead. I mean,
no, because I've actually had people say that. It was a Hispanic gentleman who was like, "Oh, well, I don't want to leave Sancho rich." I'm like, "Huh?" He says, "Yeah, because when I leave, if I leave her all this money, she gonna move another man into my house." I said, "Tell me you're not trying to control her life from the grave." But then the other question is, and Walter, you actually brought this up years ago, is, all right, think of it this way. God forbid you go to the upper room, okay, or the lower room, depending on what type of life you live, okay? Now, your wife, let's say you didn't have no life insurance. So your wife was like, "Oh my God, he was the only one, the breadwinner, or we worked too." And so Sancho does come up to her. "Hey, gal, how you heard you looking for a new man?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, yes and no, but yeah, let me go on and get with him because I need this extra income." She moves this Sancho into your house. Now he's probably abusive to her. He might be abusive to the kids. But imagine, not to say children because kids are ghosts, but imagine if she had a life insurance policy, a good life insurance policy. She could say, "You know what? It would be nice to have a man, but I'm gonna take my time. I got these young kids. I don't really want to just bring any old dude up in my house around my kids. So I want to make sure that we're taking care of her first." But if you do not leave her with that cushion to think, then yeah, she might bring in Sancho, who completely destroys her and the children because you have too much of an ego and wanted to control her life beyond the grave and not leaving her money so she can leave Sancho rich.
and it's here's the thing: you leave enough money, so your wife says, "You know what? I don't need a man. Matter of fact, he left me enough money that I can hire a babysitter with the kids or hire one of my family members that loves him, and I'm gonna go out and get my freak on in a nice hotel away from the kids, so they're not seeing you sneak some dude up in the house all the time." You leave her so much money, or him so much money, that they would be afraid to do something like that, out of guilt, knowing that you left them so well taken care of. Like, like women, you have $1 million saved, and a man walk in and slap the shit out you and be like, "Girl, sit down." What is your reaction knowing that you don't need him? Not talking about you don't need a man, like you don't need him financially. What's your next move? I mean, you might let him hit you once or twice. "Oh, you love me. He ain't gonna do it again." Okay. But like, let's say you get tired of that. You had $1 million, you have money saved, you can do what you want to do. And that's really what it is. So for me, if I'm married, I'm leaving my wife a bunch of life insurance. Because I don't want her to have to be remarried. You know what I'm saying? I want her to be like, "Okay, I'm taking care of the kids. And if I want to go out and hang out with a man, I can afford to go somewhere else and do." And ladies, can I ask you another question? Why in the hell are we hanging out with these dudes? They coming over, you picking them up, you carrying everything. Like, I ain't gonna sound like the custom preacher, but damn, we used to have to pay for affection. And I don't mean prostitutes. I mean like you used to have to earn affection. Take a girl out. She had to come to your house. I'm trying to think of how many times I went to one of my girlfriend's house and we made love at her house. I really honestly, I can't tell you one time. Hey, it is what it is. I'm just saying, like, these are the type of things you'd be in control of. And women, if you date a man, make sure he has life insurance. That's like first date stuff. "Oh, this is a nice steak. Um, who's your life insurance company?" I've been thinking about getting more life insurance. Who do you have? And he says, oh, check please, ding a ding a ding. That's a wrap. And you move on. That's why I like the Asian. What was the Asian way of doing it, or the Indians? They're like, I will learn to love this man eventually. But right now, I love that he is stable, he's a go-getter, and he has his stuff together. That's it. And I do want to address one of these comments.
Let me actually ask Michael, and how you doing? I'm pretty well versed on Andrew Yang. What solution is it? Something new? What solution does he have for Black Americans being financially secure? If you don't mind me asking, Walter, which comment was that? Was it this one here?
No. Republicans and Democrats deregulated the economy and screwed Americans. Guys, if you really understand deregulation, it was done to give businesses more power. Yeah, there was some funky stuff going up in there. I get it. When you let banks and financial investment firms become one, you're going to have drama. But where was the Bugs Bunny effect? You can't beat them, join them. I know the stock market and the financial markets are rigged. So why not learn how to rig? Why not learn the game? I hate it when people say, oh man, we're going to change. You ain't going to change nothing. You ain't going to change a thing. You can't, there's nothing you can change. I'm trying to think. My girl was talking about emailing some company to have them. I said, you really think they're going to change their whole $1 billion company policy over an email? You think you're the first person that's brought this up? Do you know what I'm saying? Your stuff just going to go out in the universe and just hang out. So the best way to control it is you. I go into a Kmart and they treat me like crap. I don't go back to Kmart. That's just it. So we have to take responsibility for whatever happens out there. Because I will tell you guys this. You guys, if you get Elizabeth Warren and AOC and Joe Biden up, and it's a wrap. I'm telling you. Like Joe Biden, I ain't gonna beat him up too long. He don't look like he got long to go anyway. This dude, as soon as he gets elected, what's he do? He goes right after the middle class with the IRS, the tax code. You know what he tried to do yesterday? Is tell the gig workers, we're gonna make you guys employees. Well, good luck. No, like they're gonna make. Ooh, how you gonna tell somebody that's working 30 hours a week when they feel like it that they have to become an employee? And I think it's 40 hours, but like, why mess with a system that ain't broke? They're just trying to raise revenue so they can keep paying for all these projects. So I like deregulation. Yeah, is it the Wild Wild West? Yes. I would prefer it to be the Wild Wild West because we do better in the Wild Wild West. You want Elizabeth Warren telling you what to do with your banking? Come on, you guys. Like, sometimes we want the government to do too much stuff. Like Andrew Yang, I know he talked about giving every American $1,000 a month. Inflation would be through the roof because most of us don't need $1,000 a month given to us. And those of us that want that $1,000 a month, are we working for it? Are we working and then the $1,000 a month is extra? Are we investing it or are we blowing it? Because everybody got stimulus money and most of that money is gone.
Well, I actually like Andrew Yang's policy. I actually was rooting for Andrew Yang. I don't understand why most people didn't jump on Andrew Yang, the Yang gang situation there. So you talk about the UBI, and Al, that's pretty funny. My grandma says, stay away from broke people because their cash balances. Yes, indeed. So yeah, Andrew Yang had the universal basic income, where he was saying that if he became president, he would give between $1,000 to $2,000 to Americans. I think he says 18 to 70, no strings attached. You could, be getting other forms of cash and stuff, and they wouldn't like factor it in or hold it against you and all of that. And so you say that inflation would be through the roof, but it's like, how much more would it be through the roof than what the government is already doing, giving money away? Also, with that universal basic income, that money would also go back into the economy. Some people would save it and some people would spend it because a lot of people aren't really living check to check. We're going to talk about it in just a few. Hello, Only Pamela's Way. How you doing? We're going to talk about it in just a minute. But everybody's rent is skyrocketing. It used to go up like $50 maybe a year, $100, but now we're seeing $200, $300, $400, $500 and a lot more in some cases. And so that money would go to that. Also, it would make the difference between whether a mom could stay at home with the children or have to go to work for the extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month just to make ends meet. And we also know that when children have a mother at home, a parent, and I know we're not trying to be gender specific, even though I am, a mother at home, children tend to do better opposed to coming home and not, having somebody there to mentor them, love them, and, take care of them and all of that. So that universal basic income would actually help a lot of people. And of course, like you said, some people don't need it. Well, save it. Save it. If you don't need it, save it. You may need it up the road, maybe donate it or whatever the case is. But I definitely think that a universal basic, and in some cities and states, cities are already trying that throughout the United States. I think Alaska was actually doing,
Well,
it.
Alaska does it because they have a pipeline going through the state. It's a whole. That's why they're getting the dividend, because they're dealing with oil, and they running the risk of that pipeline busting in Alaska being under black water. So they get that. And my man Michael, I mean, we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. Wall Street has been a scam from day one. Wall Street, like, think about this. Like, I bought this cup, right? But I'm gonna give you a piece of paper, and we're gonna trade that piece of paper. I ain't gonna give you the cup. We're gonna trade the paper, and somebody gonna lose, somebody gonna win. Like Wall Street and banking it's all a scam. It has been since day one. It's a scam for rich people and people that understand money to get ahead. That's it. I invested. So yesterday, I've been talking about stock options, and yesterday I started putting money into the stock market. I give you my whole list: Carnival, Carvana. I bought Facebook options. I bought options on JP Morgan. The same stocks, Nordstrom's, the same stocks that I bought when the pandemic was low. I bought the stock options. I was telling my sister today, yet from yesterday and today, my account is up 30%. So imagine if you put 10 grand in an account and it's up 30% in one day and you just sold everything. All you have to do is really, and that's why I get up in the morning, I tell people, turn off all the shit. Wake up, I have CNBC on my computer, and I have Bloomberg, which that TV is on 24 hours unless we're watching a movie or something. Or the first thing I do when I wake up is I turn on Bloomberg and CNBC, and I have both going at the same time. My girlfriend come downstairs and look at me crazy, but she'll get a stock tip on her way out. So I buy the same stock options. I paid 60 cents yesterday for a long-term option on Carnival Cruise Lines. That's 60 cents today is $1.40 or something crazy. So the point I'm making is we have to own our future. In the banking system in Wall Street, I'm telling you guys, it is one of the easiest ways to get ahead is using the stock market properly, using Wall Street and that phantom money that no one can really see, but you're able to use it. So instead of fighting them, but trying to, first of all, let's say Wall Street is a scam. What can we do? And it's like, let's say it's rigged towards black people. What can we do about it? We had a black president 8 years. We got Joe Biden, supposedly. We had Clinton. We had, Jimmy Carter. We had a lot of presidents supposedly black, pro-black. And the financial system got worse. And it was your boy, Bill Clinton. They got up in there with the deregulation and Glass-Steagall and all that stuff. So if you want to really understand, like, here's it. At the end of the day, people are going to take care of their money. Bill, Hillary, Joe, Jill, Trump, Ivanka, or whoever, I don't know, whoever his wife is, Melania, they're going to take care of themselves. Why don't you do what they do? And the reason insurance companies ask you about parking violations, because if you're the type of person to get parking violations and run red lights, you're the type of person to run a red light and get killed and they got to cut a check. They think you're the type of person that avoids responsibility, so they don't want to insure somebody that they think is a moral hazard, a moral risk. They just don't. That's why they run your credit, because they don't want, they're like, okay, this person ain't paid his bills. He got 20 parking tickets.
Also, And Don, how you doing? Also with that, so everything what Walter said, life insurance companies, they make money when you live, not when you die. So let's say that you get a life insurance policy. This is a true story. Somebody, wasn't me, but another agent in my office that I was in at the time, he wrote a life insurance policy 5 days before the insured died in a boating accident. Now, the insurance company paid out because it was an accident, after they ruled everything out. But so the policy was for $100,000 and he only paid with a premium. I don't know how much it was. I'm sure it wasn't any more than $50 because the guy was young. So he paid his family, or he paid $50 for the policy. And eventually the life insurance company had to pay out what he paid for. It was $100,000. So the point that I'm making is life insurance company money, they make money if you live, not die. And so they want to make sure that you are not a risk. And so to Walter's point, if you have parking violations, whatever they are, whether you parked in a handicap zone or you're speeding or whatever it is, they do weigh the risk and say, well, he's pretty high up there on the risk factor. And because, like Walter said, he may run a light or drive recklessly or whatever, he may die, and we have to pay that money out. And so they're insuring people who do not present a huge risk. And if you do present a huge risk, they will give you a rated policy, which says that they know that you are a risk, but they're going to rate you at a point to where you're going to actually pay more for that policy because you may not be here that long. So that's the things too, that when people, they don't think about when they're young, but when they get older, they want to get a family and they think about getting life insurance, and they sit down with somebody and then you get those questions. Okay, do you have any speeding tickets? Any parking violations? Have your license been restricted or suspended? Yeah. How's your credit? Or have you been to jail? Do you have they want to know all of that, because all of those things decide whether you are a good candidate to insure. So those are the things you think about when you're young. You might want DUIs too. DUIs pretty much count you out in a lot of cases, unless they rate you. Yeah, so those are the things you think about before you get behind the wheel. And I'm not saying this about you, Don. I'm just saying in general, things you think about before you get behind the wheel, drinking and driving. One day you may get serious and grow up and want a life insurance policy, and they'll say, okay, well, let's look at your record, also your health. If you have had certain issues like heart attack, strokes, or even if you tried to take yourself up out of here, those things work against you as far as getting a life insurance policy, because they say you're a risk. You may not be here that long. And we want to insure people who are going to be here at least until they're 70 or 80. So, and let's see who else came on here. Jan Michael, how you doing? It says, hey now, greetings. It's called high risk, all about not paying out. It's about you paying into. There you go. Only Pamela's Way says, Walter is making some good points because the biggest crooks are in the banking system, Wall Street, and politics. Yep. Al says, money doesn't change you. It exaggerates the person that you already are. Yeah, I would say that. And it, some cases, make you a better person because you wake up with a little bit more of a pep in your step. Like, I don't worry about bills today. My house is paid for. The lights ain't going out. I ain't got to stress about putting gas in the car. Matter of fact, I could go to the grocery store and buy what I want.
So, and here's the other thing too. And I know me and Michael, we're going back a little bit. And it's good to have an open dialogue. Everybody is not like me. I'm not like you, and nobody's like each other. But I tell you what, I wasn't born into a family when we talked about money and investments and stocks. My stepfather, while we was in the garage one day, I was beating on some buckets, and he was like, hey, you should be a stockbroker. And he handed me a newspaper with the stock section in it. I was 13 years old, sitting there, and he says you can make $10,000 a year, some crazy number. This was in the 80s, so it was a long time ago. And it stuck with me. That he said it to me. Me and my stepfather never talked about money. That one time in the garage, he gave me career advice, and I took it. I was 13, but when I got older and I became more responsible, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. My stepfather said I should go to be a stockbroker. So one day I'm selling life insurance and the company disappears and they owe me 30 grand. And so I'm stuck without that money. Anyways, so I'm delivering pizzas until I find a new insurance job, and I answer an ad for American Express Financial Advisors. Boom, answer the ad to be a stockbroker. They gave it to me. The rest is history. And when I got up in there, I was like, oh, the system is rigged. And I tried to tell every black person I knew about the stock market, investments, life insurance, tax-free cash value, how to like credit and proper credit card management and how the banks work. And man, it was like pulling teeth from a walrus. Out of 100 black people I talked to, I had 2 of them follow me. And it was just, I don't understand. It's not like, like black people will get together. And I got tired of listening to this shit. We would get together and have a financial meeting, and everyone's complaining about the system. I'm like, listen, Negro Damas, you're not going to change the system. And that is all long as you guys got Cadillacs and Mercedes out here, and you running mortgage companies charging people 12% interest when the interest rates is 4%. I mean, like, you're part of the problem. So stop. We cannot fix the system. It's only going to get worse. With the Federal Reserve, it has their back against the wall. The BOE, the Bank of England is in trouble. Japan, for some reason, is reducing interest rates. I mean, and we got Russia, Ukraine. My God. Like, this is the perfect storm. It's the perfect storm to go in and bottom feed Facebook, which is trading at 100, I think 30, 40 bucks right now. Carnival Cruise Line, which was a $50 stock at the pandemic, was trading at $6.20 yesterday or something crazy. You know where it's at today? Almost $7.50. It's like, so the world is falling apart financially, as it does cyclical. It happens once in a while. And we're sitting around saying, oh, we're going to make changes. Changes are coming. The change is not coming. The only thing coming is a jumpy, man, if you don't get your stuff in order. But this time it's going to be worse because Joe Biden, the people in office have shown that they don't care. I sound like Kanye West. They don't care about black people. Like, think about it. Reparations are such a hot topic and it disappeared. Then we got all these bills. Black people, George Floyd got choked on national television. Choked, like people, cameras and all that. Choked out in front of all these people. And then a year and a half later, we got an Asian crime bill. I'm like, how is that possible? You choke a guy out in the streets on camera, and we got, this is because what the Asians did is they said, okay, we got momentum for minorities. We're going to step in. Since black people aren't going to use their power, we're going to step in and get an Asian crime bill. Since black people are not going to use their power. And so did the LGBT and all these different organizations, they stepped in. So what black people do, we blow the door open, and then we sit there and watch, and everybody else walks through it. And the same thing is happening with finance and insurance. Like, ain't nothing swag about having an Escalade, but your family doesn't, and the Escalade don't have life insurance, right? And suicide is 2 years. So if you're going to kill yourself, you got to wait 2 years after your policy is signed, sealed, delivered, and in force. And that shouldn't be a financial strategy. But if that is, make sure you get a bunch of life insurance and leave some instructions. Hey, kids, here's what I need you to do. Take this money, buy this house. Don't date that girl. She's a freak. And here's the money if you don't date her. You can do stuff like that. It's not complicated. And no, I didn't come from a family with money at all. I mean, no, that's not true. We were middle class. Both of my parents have Volvos. And my mom was a nurse. My stepfather worked for the prison. So, we were.
And our father owned his own mechanic shop.
So my father had his own business. So we didn't grow up poor. I mean, I don't want to give people that impression. I mean, when I say we didn't grow up with money, I didn't grow up. It wasn't my money. My father would give me money. My stepfather, I don't think gave me money, but he paid the bills. You know what I'm saying? Him and my mom paid the bills, the utilities. So I wasn't out in the cold when it rained. So I had a decent family, a good family actually, but we should all have that. That shouldn't be a bar. Oh, you came from a good family. We should all have that. And if we don't have that, we can create that with our own kids. Man, you got kids out the street. You haven't seen your kids in weeks, months, years. Like, come on, man. And I have 6 kids. It is hard. It's hell to see them all the time. Man, but it's something you do. I mean, I don't know. And yeah, your kids should be okay.
What your young children. So he says, I once heard if you have life insurance policy, don't list your kids as beneficiary, get a living trust and make the trust the beneficiary of the policy.
Yeah, you can do stuff like that. You can leave the trust instructions, or you can leave another adult instructions. There's things you could do. You could leave instructions and leave a trust, and the trust says, here's $1,000,000 upon my death. Each one of my kids get three. The kids get three. The money needs to be invested this way. So in my living trust, I have a portion going to real estate, a portion going to bonds, stocks. I have some going to life insurance. I have some that stays in cash. So I gave my kids in writing where to put the money. So then from there, that money can generate, and then they can survive. And I don't, when it comes to stocks, and Don, I'm just be 100 with you. I don't look at the color of the company. And that's the way there's not enough time and energy, because most of the stocks we don't even know about anyways. We're just guessing. To then turn around and say, okay, it needs to be a black stock, that's trouble. You know what I'm saying? You could make money and buy black, and if you buy, the thing about black stocks, though blacks don't own that anymore, the shareholders own them, who are most likely probably not black. You understand what I'm saying? So as far as looking for black stocks, I don't know about that. I mean, if you want to support black businesses, that's definitely a way to go, right? And the brain is not developed. I don't know when the brain. Honestly, I don't even think it's developed at 26. Shit.
Hey, some of our brains are still developing, and I'm 51.
I think. I mean, I don't know, but what you can do is you can give your kids a shot.
Let's make a transition here. I'm going to share this with y'all. We're going to have a discussion. And hello, Thunder, how are you? And Pam, you say the Congressional Black Caucus are supposed to do what is in the best interest for us, and they don't care if they do anything for us or not. Yep, absolutely, they do for everybody else. Tawana, how you doing? You say I had to be on a 2-year probation because I have rheumatoid arthritis before there was, I think, a comment cut off there. Yeah, that's another thing too. They do look at your medical records and see, where you're at, how long ago has it been since you've had the medical issue. So yeah, they look into all those things. And Al says, can a life insurance policy determine how often the kids can get money? Now, it sounds like a trust would have to do that. Hello, Miss Black, how are you? So I'm going to share this. Walter, can you answer that question about the life insurance determining whether how often the kids get money and how much?
So life insurance companies will allow you in the beneficiary instructions to put when they get the money. Matter of fact, the life insurance policy is cheaper if you do it that way. So let's say you leave them $1,000,000, but you tell the insurance company to pay them over 20 years, your policy will be less because the insurance company is not cutting a check up front, which means they get to use that money. So that is one way to go about it. You can have the insurance company pay out over 10, 15, 20 years. So the answer to your question is yes.
All right. So what you all see here, I saw this trending kind of on my timeline anyway. I don't know if it's all over social media per se, but this is a notice. This is from Memphis, Tennessee. And it says, from our corporate office, this letter is to inform you that effective on January 1st, 2023, the new rent rates will be as follows. A 1-bedroom is going from $630 to $916. 2-bedroom, $675 to almost $1,100. 3-bedroom going from $750 to almost $1,300, and so on and so forth. That says you will not begin paying this rate until you come into your annual recertification to renew your lease. Any resident who does not wish to renew, we ask that you give us proper 30-day notice to vacate in writing. And then they have the notice say, as always, we thank you for your continued residency. And so, again, I saw this notice trending around Memphis, Tennessee, and the people there are kind of up in arms about it. It's called The Ridge, I think the name of the apartment is. And there it says Rich Smith Management, based out of Arkansas, I think. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Sounds like they do offer some low-income housing there. So I don't know how that would factor into it. but this is becoming a lot of people's reality, especially people who are renting. They're starting to see their rents increase. And as I said not too long ago, normally when you see a rent increase, it'd be like 50, 75, $100. But that's quite a bit, almost what for the one bedroom, almost $300 increase. And so you ask yourself, how many people nowadays can really afford a $300 rent increase? Not very many people. And of course it goes, God forbid you have a 3-bedroom and you're paying $750, which is really cheap. So I'm kind of wondering where these apartments are. $750 is cheap, and then all of a sudden in a couple of months you're gonna have to be paying, a $1,270. Is like, where am I supposed to get that money from? So we have a conversation about that. What do we do? We do talk about it quite a bit, but like I said, a lot of people are starting to see this. I'm hearing a lot of people talk about their rent is going up astronomically to the point to where people are going to be facing homelessness due to not being able to pay it. So, and Thunder, you say, Demetra K, that mature lady probably gave y'all a hard time like that because she saw y'all's competition. You're moving in on her territory. Her sugar daddies might cut her off if they walk in there and see you. So I put a video up earlier about myself and my daughter going to the gym, and this older sister, she was real kind of spicy. When we got in there, she was like, go over there. You put your weights over there. Are you supposed to put your mat over there? Oh, you're not. And I was like, you're doing a lot right now. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking that, right? It's boot camp class or whatever. She tripping. So I gave her something to talk about. She ain't going to be talking to me like that no more. I ran circles around her, literally. But yeah, that's just me being competitive. And Al says, even renting a kid's bounce house is twice as much as last year. The inflation, that's inflation for you. Now that's funny. Yeah, so a lot of people, that's their reality now. And so you think, well, what can I do? Some people are saying, well, it's cheaper to buy a house. I guess, if you have the down payment for a house, and of course, right now, interest rates, they're kind of up there, even though the housing market is starting to correct a little bit, it's coming down. But a lot of people, they feel like they can't afford to buy a house. But then it's like, you can't afford to buy a house, but can you afford to pay that high ass rent? Donna, I know you was in New York when the guy that was running for mayor, he was from the rent is too damn high party. Walter, you remember that? The guy, he was from the rent is too damn high. So you have the Democrats, the Republicans, and the rent is too damn high party. He was a black guy. He had like a white beard, and
I mean, rent is going to keep going up because now people are having trouble buying a house, but they still want to move into something nice. They're going to jack the rents up. It's going to happen. Now, once inflation tames, and that's going to be a while, rents will come down. But for right now, and the crazy part is, people are getting evicted because the people, like, we're selling their houses. And I don't want to hate on somebody because it's your house. You do what you want to do. I hear people say, oh, they sold the house. How could they do that to me? Well, it was their house. And that's their right. If you pay rent and you live in somebody else's house, it is their job, their responsibility to take care of their family. So if selling their house for a profit, which is what they should do, is going to take care of their family, your rent issue is not their fault. We need to stop asking people that own shit to let us make a decision on the stuff they own. And believe me, I've been on that side of the rent where, we're selling the property, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, I rent here. I'm a hostage to their desire financially. There's no rule, no Nancy Pelosi needed. It's their house. They make the decision. What you need to do is get your own house. Period. Get your own house. That's what you do. That makes sense. And I'm down with the rent too high party. Shit, it is high.
Donna, I know you would know. Yeah, it was kind of a big
black. What up?
Yeah, it was kind of a big deal. I mean, it was kind of funny, but at the same time, it was like, well, you got a point. He was like, the rent is too damn high, so that's the party I'm representing. I don't know if he's still around, but it sure be nice if he would run for something and help alleviate the rental situation. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. And Thundy says, they see you. They see you. She just know for sure she's going to have to leave that condo and move to Shady Acres. And Pamela says Richmond Management owns apartments in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. That is correct. And yeah, they are. I mean, I think it's kind of cold blooded, but like you said, Walter, it's their property. They can do what they want. And, you know, you might even be able to bring in the conversation of gentrification, you know, because if we can't afford it, and you just only know probably a lot of us live there, but if we can't afford it, they'll bring in people who can.
Yeah, and the whole gentrification thing, the whole thing with gentrification, and I keep hearing this, and really all it is, like, they're not forcing black people to move. They're not coming through with the batter ram and saying, all right, black people, you need to move. Gentrification happens when black people sell. You understand what I'm saying? Because, like, and I've had this conversation with a bunch of people. I met with their aunties and their moms and their grandmas. Oh no, baby, I don't want to sell. I don't want to do anything risky. I don't want to jeopardize my future. And then you die. The house goes into probate, and you get tired of it, and you dump the house, you sell it, and somebody else buys it. Like if you go to LA, West LA, it's been gentrified, but that's because black people sold or they weren't prepared. Do you understand? When they weren't ready. So like when I walk through West LA, I see all these beautiful brand new buildings. And my question is, why don't black people do the same thing? Your mom owns a house. If you own a house in West LA that's got 4 bedrooms and 3 baths, it is $1 million all day. For a crappy whole house, it is $1 million in West LA. I don't care where you live. You live west of the 605, you're talking about $1 million for a house, right? So why don't we do that? Why don't we move into a neighborhood? Like I can tell you, why don't we reverse gentrify like I did in Texas? I moved into a neighborhood, all white people. I got some Africans on the corner. They bought a house and they fixed it up. And then I bought my house and I fixed it up. So I reverse gentrified it. So where there was, and I don't care about race. You know, I'm just making a point. I went in and bought a house in an all white neighborhood. Yeah, they had some shit to say. So what? You understand what I'm saying? And I moved in, I fixed the house, I made it nicer. My house, interior wise, is the nicest house in the neighborhood. Period. It's the nicest house. I got the nicest house on the block, interior wise. So I fixed it up. Black people, there's nothing stopping us from doing that. Was I nervous about moving into an all white neighborhood? Yes. Oh, mainly because black people kept telling me to be.
You know, well, I mean, we saw some Confederate flags running around there, okay?
My next door neighbor had a Confederate flag. You know, the crazy part is she took it down. We had a long conversation. Not she took it down because of me, but I was like, that flag, I know it means yeehaw to you, but like to me, and I don't care as much about the Confederate flag as most black people. I just think history is history. And we just need to build on history and make sure it doesn't happen again. You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, like stuff like this. Detroit, Ohio, you can buy a house for $1,200. In those houses, they sit there. I can drive through parts of Houston right now and see old homes that have been boarded up and not a black person in sight to buy them. But when the white man come in and buy the house, then all of a sudden it's gentrification. But the house has been sitting there for years. The house I bought in Texas, in Dallas, from a family member, the dude died in the house. And he was there for 3 weeks. No one checked on him. That house sat empty for 2-3 years, boarded up, abandoned on the corner of this neighborhood. So to the point when me and my son went to buy the house, the lawyer, she happened to be white, it just is what it is, tried to buy the house. The probate lawyer tried to buy the house from under us. And we went through a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, we cleaned it up and we did some things and we sold it. So now I sold it to a white dude. I'm not tripping that a white dude bought the house. We took the money and ran, and now we put the money in other areas. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not like, oh my God, the white man. The white man wrote me a check up front, 7-day close, and we went out and bought other things. And that's what we need to be doing. Mama, I know you don't want to talk about the house, but one day you're going to die, and we need to know how to protect our wealth. That's it.
And I was going to say this too. I went to Jacksonville last week. My daughter and I drove to Jacksonville. My grandfather passed away. But as you know, we were driving around, I was like, there's a lot of real estate opportunities here, Walter. We got to go. Jacksonville, I kid you not. There's so many empty houses and buildings and lots. And I'm like, and you can already see where people are building like newer homes. And Amanda, that's our sister. What they're doing is they're building duplexes, brand new. And she's saying that each duplex in Jacksonville, Florida, is going for at least $1,600 each duplex. So not the whole duplex, but for a half a duplex,
$3,200.
Yeah. So they're building these on these empty lots and these buildings. And I'm like, oh, there's money all day. And I'm like, but Jacksonville has a large Black population. Why aren't people taking advantage of that? So I'm like, I would like to go do that. I would like to go to Jacksonville and, maybe buy up a lot or a building. Yeah, and my sister, she's crazy. And she's the crazy one. She's like, yeah, I can. I probably shouldn't say this. She says, I'm gonna buy one of these buildings and open up a strip joint. I'm like, what you do with it is your business.
I'm down with that, man. People come to strip clubs. And once you get over the hypocrisy of all that moral stuff, man, I would open a strip club. I would have full restaurant, and I'm telling you, I'm just gonna tell you, at Houston, you guys are notorious for strip clubs. There's strip clubs everywhere, and they got
How you know?
I went to a steakhouse with my boy. I'm gonna leave him nameless because he didn't give me permission to say it. Man, whatever. People can miss me with that stuff. My boy was like, "You want to go have steaks?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "We stop by the casino. We can go to Mastro's." He took me to the steakhouse, and I noticed they had purple lights. I go, "Those must be some good steaks." So, sure enough, it was a strip club, and they had a full 5 filet mignon. It was off the hook. The point I'm making is the guy that owns that strip club is going on his Bentley parked out front. So I mean, like, whatever it is, make money at it. We got to stop with the morals, because we like, oh, the preacher gonna be mad, but he running a strip club too. Matter of fact, he probably on Sunday night it probably turned into the swing thing. I mean, you never know.
Hey, that's a good name right there. Can you answer Thunder's question?
Swing on the poles, the swing thing. Don't steal my name. Shit. I keep getting calls. Tell my landlord, he said, I'm getting these calls daily. What should I do? Can you text me your address when you get done? Let me take a look at it. I mean, if you want to sell it, shit, let's work something out. I mean, you're not interested in selling it, but maybe you want the money from it. So there's things out there you could do. Like maybe I don't want to sell my house, but I could sell a part of it, take a chunk of money, and we still split the revenue from the rentals. You can do that. But like, see, this is what I'm saying. This is the type of stuff that gets me going. So I'm serious. If you're interested in selling your property, hit me up. I'll run the numbers. I'll make you an offer you can't refuse. And there's no magical money. Like, again, my sister would tell you, there was a time, wasn't that long ago, I didn't have any money. It was gone. Like poof. The $2 million I had saved, I bought a bunch of real estate. It was a crap show. I lost it all. Started over. But where did I get the money? I started putting money away. I started declaring my intentions publicly. Hey, man, I want to buy real estate. Hey, man, I want to buy real estate. Hey, man, I want to buy real estate. And then people say, okay, I'm interested. Let's do it together. And it is easy. You guys, first of all, you can buy a 4-unit building on a 3% down FHA mortgage payment. You can put 5-10% down on a conventional mortgage. Some of you guys could swipe your credit card and make a down payment on a house. Where do you get the money? I mean, there's government programs. I never been able to get one that I hear about. The whole NACA program, it might take you 40 years to get one. But like,
yeah, I tried to do that. I was like, I'm good. I'm good on this whole NACA program. It take you through a whole lot of hoops of fire and all of that. I was like, yeah, I'd be faster getting my own house, my own loan. And all of that. So
yeah, I mean, if the money's out there, you guys, how are white people doing it? They don't all have money. The Jews don't all, the Mexicans don't all, and the Mexicans definitely didn't come over here from Mexico with stacks. I have some of my Mexican buddies, their family, the way they talk. Like, we came over here with nothing. Like, I dated a girl for a long time, and her family, she's hid in the station wagon or some stuff, something crazy. But like, when I met her, they had houses and Escalades and all kinds of shit. So, like, money, what it is though, it's just work. And here's the thing about Mexicans, and the Mexicans I'm talking about the traditional Mexicans that come from Mexico and get on it. Not the Mexicans that are here and Americanized and they're up at happy hour every night. They in Cabo every other week and they ain't got a goddamn thing saved. I'm not talking about those Mexicans. I'm talking about the Mexicans that come here and go, this is the greatest opportunity. I don't need no paperwork, no social, no nothing. I'm rolling under the radar and I work at a car wash 12 hours a day. And then I go work at night at a restaurant. So I got 2 jobs. Ain't nobody asking me for no information, no paperwork. And I've been here a year and I got $10,000 saved. Now I'm going to get me a taco truck. Paco's Tacos. And I'm going to roll down the street and I'm going to sell tacos and sit at the gas station on the corner. And the black people, they're going to come up after they've been in the club all night and they're going to swing up and buy some tacos because they're intoxicated. If you don't believe me, go to King Taco. Go to Paco's, a real thing called Paco's Tacos in LA.
King Taco. Yep.
King Taco. How do you think these guys started? They started the way I'm telling you. And you see these people, they don't speak in no English, but they can say taco, that'll be $3, and they stacking money. So where does the money come from? From hard work. And you stack your money, guys. In the beginning, you're not going to see it because you're saving, $1,000 a month. And then it's going to take you 6 months to get 1,000. But what you can do with that 6,000 is you can buy something that's 3,000, sell it for 4, but keep a cash reserve, and you keep doing that. And before you know, you got 15, 20 grand, and you go, okay, I got it. That's how it works. There's no magic, but like right now, you guys, the stock market is at a low. The Federal Reserve is getting tired of hearing people to tell them to reduce rates. They're not going to do it right now. They're going to keep raising rates. But what's happening is sooner or later, as they raise rates and the economy starts to collapse and settle, there's going to be that day where they come out and they raise interest rates and they go from being hawkish to dovish, which is the term they use. Or they're going to go from being like to the economy to like, okay, get your money. And interest rates come down and you just watch the economy, the market, stocks go boom. So if you own stock options for a year and a half out, and the Federal Reserve pivots, and you have $2,000-$3,000 in stock options, you got 2,000 stock options on a stock, and the market opens up, you're sitting on thousands and tens of thousands. Yeah, I know because I did it. I remember doing it. I remember the day Moderna, or who was it, Johnson, or whoever it was, Pfizer came out with the pandemic. And I remember my portfolio quadrupled in one day. So you just get in and you wait for news. So right now, you can open an E-Trade account. You can put 100 hours a day into it, 100 hours a week, whatever. And you do that. That way the money is sitting there, and it's a bank too. So whatever happens, if you end up needing the money, you just wire the money back. It takes 2 days. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking every time I get paid, I sell a car, I get an Airbnb, whatever. Every time I make money, I move some to my E-Trade. That's it. So it's $1,000 a week, $1,000 a day, $1,000 a month, whatever the number is to you. Do that. So when things hit the fan, you can say, oh, I'm in. Like Norwegian Cruise Line, they got upgraded today. Their books look good, and they're at over 80% booked for their future bookings. 80%. So when the world calms down a little bit, what do you think is going to happen to Norwegian Cruise Line stock price? It's going up. And if you own stock options, owning stock options is like you having a rope tied to the back of, well, first of all, you don't get burnt the hell up because those jet engines will burn you up. But that's like holding onto an airplane. They do all the heavy lifting and take off, and they land and they drop you off in Colombia or Kabul, wherever you need to be. You don't have to do none of the work. You don't have to do none of the wait. You just have to be in the right place at the right time. And that's it. Savings bonds are cool. Start somewhere, right? It's okay to have savings bonds as a cash reserve, but sooner or later you got to pull the trigger, right? Grandmama had savings bonds, and they earned 2, 3, 4%, and then they stopped earning money. They just sitting there dead in a drawer. A lot of people find out they inherited savings bonds that stopped paying years ago. So put the money somewhere, but just start.
And I want to say this about immigrants, because you're speaking about Hispanics coming over here and changing the game. But I'm seeing a lot of Africans do that as well. They're coming over here, and so you have, and they're buying up things and starting businesses and things. Now, of course,
everywhere. The Africans, no, we're just talking about black. Africans are here buying stuff. I see them. I meet more Africans all the time.
And so some people will say, well, the government is giving them, this type of loans, blah, blah, blah. It's easier access. Yeah, some of that may be true. But I think what we are doing here is, especially Black people in America, we're missing the point. Those people have unity. They know how to do that, right? Like, especially if you live in California, we've seen Mexicans, per se, living a bunch of them in a house, like cars everywhere. Everywhere I've lived in California, I've had a Mexican neighbor or two. Even when the last time I lived in California, I was a Mexican neighbors across the street. It was a bunch of them. And then there was one right next door to me. It was a bunch of them. In fact, I think they were related because I would always see them going across the street back and forth. I would say it was probably like 6 or 7 or 8 of them in each house with kids. Then eventually it starts to thin out. But what they were doing was they was together saving their money. Because I would see them leave early in the morning. And I think they had like a landscaping business. They would leave early in the morning with the trucks, with everything. Then they would come back. And then eventually what they probably ended up doing was just buying properties. But they know how to live in one spot together and say, okay, we are here together so we can build and everybody can have their own stuff. We can bring our people over and then we can, buy businesses and more houses and things like that. And pretty soon we become, more economically free than everybody else. But I hate to say this, we as Black people, we don't know how to do that. We have to have our own house. For one thing, we can't get along, men and women. We can't get along with each other long enough to even stay in a house together. So you got a man in the house by himself. You got a woman in the house by herself. And, the rent and the bills and everything is killing both of them. And then it's like, well, wouldn't it have been better if we just stayed together? But so we have these things that unfortunately lead to us being broke and a permanent underclass financially because we don't know how to get along. I have a friend. She bought a big, giant 5-bedroom house. It was just her and her daughter. And I was like, and this was like in the 90s or like the early 2000s. Her rent was $2,200. That's a lot for a mortgage, rather. I said, well, why don't you get like some of your sisters, your brothers to move in with you? I got to have my own house. I can't just have people living with me. Well, eventually she ended up losing the house because she couldn't afford the mortgage. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it just been easy for you just to move somebody in and help you with the burden? But we don't think like that. We think about, putting on a show for people and, all that other stuff. But the other people, as I said, they know it's better together. Us, we like to struggle individually.
My pastor a lot used to say, Lord, my people. I don't know, you guys. We know what to do. We know what to do. Just pull the trigger. Just I tell everybody, open an E-Trade account. Just try it. And you can put $50 a day, whatever. Just try it. Like, just start. And if you have somebody in your life that's stopping you from doing it, then cut them loose. Cut them loose. Like I will not be with no chick that is not saving money. I don't care how big her booty is and how round her hips are. She ain't putting in money. She ain't involved financially in bettering herself. I don't want to do nothing to do with it. Because like Snoop said, ain't nothing that good to get burnt while you up in it. And when you get to the point where you get mature, that's why some of y'all be like, oh, how she get him? I guarantee I was gonna quote my sister, but I didn't even say that. Woo, I caught myself. But she's probably on her game. I'd rather be with a woman that's not as cute, but that's got her stuff together. That means she's fighting for it. When I say let's move, she move. Hey babe, let's get this money. Let's try this. Let's try something. Let's do something. You just ain't no more money in being cute. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can buy big breasts and finance them over 10 years with care credit. I mean, so every man know that. How about bringing something to the table? And fellas, I know I beat you guys up all the time, so I'm gonna give you a break, right? But women, come to the table with something. Get you a man that has a table. Or if he don't have a table, then help him get a table. You know what I'm saying? And lock his ass to a contract so he don't leave you for a white girl. What's this? Can you explain what an annuity? I think annuities are trash for young people based on what. Well, annuities are good for somebody that wants to get a fixed interest rate and leave the money there forever. And because the annuities, they don't really earn a lot, but they're safety instruments because insurance companies are stacked. Insurance companies are stronger than the banks. So annuities are good for that, but you really can't pull money from an annuity until you're 59 and a half. So if you're 30 and you're trying to build wealth for future investments in annuity, you can't get to till you're almost 60 years old. At least without penalty and tax penalties and all that stuff. So
and I know we're going to get out of here because I know you got something to do. But Al, he says, can you tell your audience about the mean grandpa and all of the kids coming over? So he has a friend who is married to a woman who has 5 kids, and I guess altogether she has 30 grandkids, and they all come over at the house at the same time. And he's like, I try my best not to be there when the kids come over. And I said, well, she's married to the wrong guy. She's married to somebody who, does not like her kids and her grandkids. And I'm like, I think people, need to realize when you marry somebody, especially if you get married older in life or whatever, you marry somebody probably going to have older kids. They're probably going to have grandkids, and you don't like them. I would hope that one day she finds out that how he feels about her children and her grandchildren, and she acts accordingly. Now, I'm not saying that she should leave them, but, to be with somebody you laying next to and they don't like your grandkids and your kids. And that's the other thing, too. I think we as Black people, we have lost the sense of family. And I say that to say, hey, Arson, how you doing? When, as I said, my grandfather passed away about a week or so ago and had to go to Florida. Actually got to go back on Monday. It's a long story. But anyway, so a lot of people, and it was last minute, he was married to a witch. It wasn't my grandmother. It was some lady who considered a Black widow. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. She was unhelpful in the whole process. My sister pretty much put the whole funeral together, everything. And so people were coming from out of town at the last moment's notice. He passed on the Monday. The wife, the witch, wanted to have the funeral that following Saturday. So people drove, right? A lot of people drove. I drove because catching a flight from Texas to Jacksonville is just kind of crazy as far as the connections and stuff. So anyway, point that I'm making is a lot of people just drove up there without having reservations for a hotel. So we're all out to eat, and my sister was like, nah, y'all coming back to my house. Now, my sister, she has a 3-bedroom house. It's a modest house, but there was a lot of people in that house. And they were like, no. We're like, yeah. Y'all coming back. We're going to figure it out. So we made beds on the couches and, made beds in one room and another room. And, my sister, my daughter, and I, we slept in her room. The house was packed, but it was so cozy. It was so nice because we were family at the end of the day under the same roof. Now, thinking about a lot of people nowadays, they'd be like, yeah, you're just going to have to go on and get a hotel, But we're like, no, we refuse. You've already driven so far. You probably don't have a lot of money, to put up on, to go to a hotel, so come stay. Then we afterwards, because the witch, she just didn't want anything to do with it. She just kind of wanted to bury my grandfather. We had a repast at the house and we made it work. There was so many people in there, but it was filled with love and just Like it made us really feel good. And I told my sister, I said, you know what? I said, our grandmother, not the witch, our grandmother who had passed on years ago, I said she would be proud. I said, because this is what she would do. If there was a bunch of people coming from out of town that didn't have a place to stay, she would put them wherever she could, whether it was on the floor, comfort, a couch, a bed, whatever it was. Y'all not going to stay in a hotel. Y'all are going to stay with me. And so I said, job well done. That we, you know, we did our grandfather proud and we did our grandmother proud. So that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about family.
100%. So I'm gonna get on. I got something I need to take care of. Actually, I need like 2 minutes to handle something. So if you want to stay here, I'll be right back. I got employees everywhere. I need to pay these people so they can go.
And pay me too.
I get my house back. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, I'll probably be out of here by the time you get back, but we'll see. So anyway, well, go ahead, do your thing. If I'm still here, you just come back. I sorry if it looks like I'm freezing up. Sometimes that happens. So Pamela said, now that's foolish. Instead of her letting some of her friends move in, they all carry the load. She would have rather lost the house. It's the individualism that Dr. Claude Anderson was talking about. Yes, you have these exceptional Negroes. It's I don't want to share. It's my house. And like now you living in an apartment when you could have had your family or whoever live in a house with you and y'all could have shared the burden. But it's just the craziest thing to me. And Arson, how you doing? He says, hey guys, it's been a long time. How have you two been? I've been great. His Hope Donovan is good as well. Yep, he's good. He says a dozen Chinese stacked in an apartment happens up here too, relatively short after they own the block. Because they up in there, they having a mastermind meeting up in there. They're like, okay, we're not gonna gather around the TV and watch the Real Housewives of Koreatown. I don't know. Or what, The House of Hold. That's a series on HBO. I really like it. It's pretty cool about some very rich Asians in Houston. They're not sitting around watching TV and killing time. They're like, okay, this is how much money we have. Oh, I understand you want to open up a corner store in the Negroes neighborhood. Okay, this is the kind of money we got. You go ahead and do that. Make the money because they're going to come in, handle a fish. You're going to get all their money. When you come back, bring the money back that we loaned you so then we can go open up something else. That's what they're doing in that house. And they say, you know what? We understand there's a house on the corner that's coming up for sale. We got the money. We got cash or we got a big down payment. We're going to put the down payment on that house. And pretty soon we're going to own the block. That's what they're doing. They're not arguing about, you know, who going to stay with me and what's on TV. They ain't even watching TV. Like, honestly, sometimes I feel really guilty because I feel like there's so many other things that I could be doing. But and I don't have time to watch TV. Like Halloween time is my favorite time of year, fall. And I said, I'm going to watch, you know, all the scary movies that I've seen before. I have not gotten a chance to watch one because I'm busy. And so I say all that to say, there's a lot of people who are really moving and they're working. They ain't watching TV. They're not comfortable. They're comfortable, but they're not comfortable to a point because I said sometimes your comfort zone can become your coffin. Eventually, that's what it'll become. And so those people, they're shaking and moving. And so Pamela says, I think so too, Sister Demetra. She should probably not be with him. I sure wouldn't. Yeah, if you married to somebody who don't like your kids, your grandkids, yeah, that's probably ain't the one for you. That ain't gonna last no way. Yes, Thunder, that is very old school to put people up that are coming from out of town. You don't put your people in a hotel. You know what I mean? You especially during a time like that, people are grieving. You do what you can. You make them feel like family, and you don't make them think that they're a burden to you. You know, we all gonna be under this roof tonight. You know what I mean? And Rain, he says, give the chat a thumbs up. Yes. Thank you so much. And then you also say, Pamela, exactly. They're planning and focusing on how to make moves. Yeah, they're under that in that little apartment. All 8 of those Asians, they thinking about what the next move is. You know, they ain't having idle chatter about what somebody doing on the internet and the TV. You know, they talking about how much money did you make today? You know, like I tell my daughter, I said the goal should be, I don't care if it's to make $1 a day, is to bring in some money every day, some way, somehow. So that way you get into the habit of making money and and not sitting and like, damn, what am I gonna do? Because our mother, Walter and I, our mom and our dad and our stepfather as well, they were entrepreneurs. My mom always said, always have more than one stream of income. Her saying was, only a poor rat has but one hole. A lot of people are seeing their jobs go away. You go, you have your job, you've been there for 20 years. And all of a sudden they say, you know what? Things have been kind of dry around here. We're going to have to lay y'all off. Do you say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or do you say, oh, well, that's cool, because I got 2 or 3 other sources of income anyway. This job was just, another source of income. Or you freeze in your tracks and you cry. You talk about, what am I going to do now? You should always have multiple ways of taking care of yourself, regardless of what it is. And everyone else does that. And I would say this too about our people. We are very resourceful people, but also we are very wasteful people. We spend a lot of money on things we do not need. As my father always says, we buy what we want and we beg for what we need. Everybody else who are buying the block, they say, yeah, I can have me another nice pair of Jordans or some Yeezys or whatever it is, but I would rather wait until I get me an income property, like some real estate or a business, and then I can buy me a pair of Yeezys from the income that's coming from that. They don't spend all of their money up front on things that depreciate. We unfortunately do that. We know that we are the largest consumer in the United States. And what's coming up now? The holiday season. And guess who's going to spend all of their money for the most part on Christmas and Thanksgiving? Us. It's a proven fact that we do that. And so, again, people are facing eviction, and that's going to be largely us. But we're going to have one hell of a Christmas, though, ain't we? But where are you going to put that stuff if, God forbid, your rent get raised and you can't pay your rent? So we need to start thinking in terms of, let's figure out how to live for today and tomorrow. And then when we're gone, our people can benefit from our generational wealth. It is a crying shame that nowadays that we as Black people, not all of us, but some of us, when we're dying, we're not dying and leaving a legacy. We're dying and leaving debt. We're dying and leaving stories. Other people die and they leave houses. They got life insurance. They got all other things to keep their legacy going. We used to be like that. And speaking of my grandmother, in Jacksonville, she was a domestic. And for those of y'all who know what that means, back then, women, they went and worked for white people. They, cooked and cleaned and took care of their children. My grandmother, my father's mom, she was a nanny for Jamie Lee Curtis in Los Angeles. She was a domestic also, but I'm saying all that to say, those people, even though they were domestic, they bought houses. They bought houses and they took care of, things and the kids and the grandkids. They didn't have nothing. They knew what it was like to cook and, not waste money. And so if they were doing it off of the little bit of money they were making, being on their hands and knees, scrubbing white people's floors, why can't we do that? Surely they have taught us something. Have we not learned from our ancestors on how to, create generational wealth? And I know we fight for reparations, but let's say we never get it. I'm not saying we won't, but let's say we never get it. What do we just ball up and die broke? And because we didn't get reparations, I tend to believe we'll get reparations a lot faster if we were practicing group economics, because now we are mighty and we are powerful. It is said that Black people, if we were to keep all of our money, we would be the 9th or 11th wealthiest nation in the world. Black people in America. That's how much money we trick off every year, and we cry broke. It's really sad at this point. Hey, brother Reggie.
Yeah. Ain't nobody getting nothing for Christmas. You know what I started doing? On Christmas time, I leave the country. I told my kids, Santa Claus come, you call me. Anything short of him showing up with my gift, I'll see you guys next year. And because I used to be like, I remember getting gifts the night before. I always said I ain't gonna get nobody nothing. And then the 2 days before, I'm in the mall with like an idiot. I'm at the cop and swap meet or wherever Christmas Day, because the Asians, They don't celebrate Christmas like that. So they businesses are open. I remember always going to the Asian swap meet to give people gifts. And they knew it was from the swap meet too. But it was just the principle. Now I don't do that. Christmas Day rolls around. I don't do it. Tell my kids we have dinner and we can have a conversation about building our family up. I'm not going to be an idiot running around buying people gifts. It just does not make sense. The stress, the anxiety. Oh shit, who did I forget? Oh my God, I forgot. Oh, he showed up to the party. Oh, I forgot his white letter for gift. I don't do none of that no more. And I made a point to give myself a gift of leaving the country during December. Take Christmas off, go somewhere. It's cheap. And it's cold a lot of places, so it's chilly, so it's cheap. You want to go to Italy in December, it's cheaper. Yeah, I what do you give me for Christmas? That's what I'm getting you. I'm getting me the peace of mind that I'm not gonna fall. Like, see, Target and Walmart, their CEOs have private planes. They like Intel is laying off people, but I guarantee you the CEO is not giving up his or her private jet. They're taking care of themselves. Why don't you take care of you? And I know this is right now, we're in a warm tub, and when we get out, we got to get out. It's cold, so we get back to real life. But what if you just said, hell no, I'm not doing it? My kids, they don't even ask me for Christmas gifts anymore. They don't, some of them try it, but I'm like, no, I will give you some money and we can start something with. Because for me to keep buying you a gift and nothing's happening, changing, is stupidity. Black people, get out the malls, get out the stores. Unless it's something you need. You know, I'm not saying the stuff you need, but like, I remember like a long time ago since I bought a gift. Buying somebody a gift, you watch them open it, and 20 seconds it's gone to the side and you never see them with that gift. But I spent an hour looking for, paying for, not to mention the money I had to make to get it, wrapping your gift, and you spend 20 seconds ripping it apart and push it to the side. Why you give me a sweater? I'm like, so now, Christmas time, I take care of me. And if I got to buy you a gift for us to be friends, then the hell with you. Period. That book, that thing you gave me, the secrets of the ancient, the Orient, or the Orient.
Oriental secrets to Oriental wealth or something like that.
Secrets to,
Yeah.
that
hidden,
little.
hidden secrets to Oriental wealth.
It made sense to me. Like, they don't eat meat every day; they eat a little bit so they can save money. They, instead of giving gifts, they give money, and they start businesses. Like, that is so basic. And the crazy part is, and let's say somebody wants me to get them a gift and I don't, and they get an attitude. That's just one person that can cut out my life. Period. I don't like spending money on shit. I mean, I want to do things. You know, I'll get my girl something, or we'll go do. Actually, last year I didn't get her a gift. We went to Germany and Poland, and we spent Christmas that way. I don't even like getting her nothing because she got everything she need. She get her own shit. That's the kind of woman I date. I don't want to be. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but sometimes it's nice just to be with somebody that can take care of their part. And if they can't, they can fight with you at least. Like, if you can't do your part, I want to come home and I want the house in order. I don't want to come up to no madness. Right? Same with Christmas. I'm not going out. I'm not buying gifts. And the Easter Bunny is not real. Tell your kids. Halloween, I got jack-o'-lanterns in front of my house. My girl did that. I'm going to carve those pumpkins up and make pumpkin pie seeds. I'm going to make all kind of stuff. But the holidays are marketing campaigns to get middle America struggling. I have people say, well, I can't buy life insurance because Christmas is coming up. You dummy.
I've had people say that too. Or the first of the year, when we wait to the first of the year, it's like, well, people don't die before the first of the year. Like,
you are a shitty person if you're the type of person that says, I can't invest, I can't take care of my business till after the holidays. I don't have enough money to take care of me. I'm gonna buy some gifts. Come on, y'all. Like, I was gonna say let's do chicken right. Lord have mercy. Y'all stop with the chicken comments in the comments, okay? I got chicken on my mind. Let's do each other right. Or if you got a chicken in the house, do the chicken right. Or if you're a chicken head, then do yourself right. But like seriously, you only once you start taking care of you, other people will hesitate to ask you for stuff because they already know where your mind is. Like Jesus, or get something for yourself. I stopped buying people shit.
You know what? But me personally, I'm like, I'm not buying it today. You ain't gonna guilt me into buying you nothing for the holiday. None of that. Like, I don't even feel like I understand people buy presents and stuff. I'm like, that's nice. My daughter's birthday is the day after Christmas.
Oh,
And
child.
I used to buy her, gifts and stuff. At one time, my daughter had like 80 presents between, not from me and everybody, between Christmas and her birthday. And I was like, this is just straight up madness. So I don't participate in Christmas or any of the holidays at all, especially the ones that cause me to spend money, because I ain't going broke or even spending the money I have on buying people stuff. And I'm not going to be out in the malls and with crazy people acting stupid. Like, I just don't want nothing to do with that at all. So if you're one of those people, you have a family, it's like, well, we got to buy each other gifts. Like, who is this we? Because I don't include me in that. Don't feel compelled to have to do that. Like, I'll do birthday things. Like, two of my babies is turning 30 this year. My daughter and my niece tomorrow, she's turning 30. Woo, we getting old. So, I give them a gift or whatever the case is, but get like Christmas and stuff, nah, not gonna do it.
Yeah, no. For Christmas, give them a business plan. Give them, and you guys, I would cut people off. Even my kids will tell you, I just draw a blank stare because I feel like there's things we need to do differently. Like, for instance, if I'm going to work my ass off, I'm not going to sit around and waste money on gifts. And if you're not the type of person that's going to fall in line, like I'm setting you up, like I'm blocking for you, I'm not going to turn around and throw you gifts and destroy our shield. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm going to take care of me. Like Germany and Poland in the winter, it's cold as hell, but like maybe you go in November, but like you start doing stuff for you. I really just lately started doing stuff for me. I told my family, you know when I'm the happiest? When I'm taking care of me. I take care of me, it makes it easier for us to do stuff together. And that's the way it needs to work. And if you're surrounded by somebody that doesn't want to do right financially, cut them loose. I'm telling you. It is hard. First of all, having people around you that aren't participating in financial growth will make you broke. Period. My assistant who lives with me, long story, I'm like, you got to get your credit straight. You got to start saving money. You got to open an E-Trade account. I can't be around nobody that ain't own their shit. Because if I'm high and you low, we become the middle. And I don't want to go back there. So I don't want to be around people that are not doing shit. And it's not complicated. Don't tell me you can't get your ass to save 100,000. You can't put $100 in an account and start putting money away. That's a lie. Some of y'all got money in the ashtray enough to open an E-Trade account. Or you got you got one of those piggy banks with cash. Crack that bank and open you an account. Like, just start. And like, for those of you, like, I talk about stuff that I can do. Like, I know right now the stock market is low and we have some shitty earnings and stuff coming up fourth quarter, and now you see Ray Dalio and Jamie Dimon from Chase coming out and saying, oh, it's a recession. And Joe Biden's like, oh, there's no recession. That's how I know there's a recession. Joe Biden says left, everybody go to the right. So they know the recession is coming. It's going to be because when people start losing those good jobs, what do you think they're coming for next? They're coming for your job. And they will move in with each other. And that's one thing I'm glad that I was able to do is when things got tough for me, I gave up it all and I moved in with my sister. I told my girlfriend at the time, hey, we gonna make it. But what I'm not going to do is be out here struggling. At the end of the day, all I want to do is kick it anyway with my family. So you have to make those choices and do something nice for yourself. Make sure you have life insurance and critical illness. I know today, if I died right now, my kids would be straight financially. And there's no better swag than that, knowing that your kids are straight. Zero swag. If I die, my daughters, my sons won't be, oh shit, oh my God, what do we do? They're going to be like, okay, we got $2 million here. Here's what dad wanted. So do we do it or not? You know what I'm saying? That's the conversation. And you don't have to have that much money saved. Let the life insurance companies take the risk for you. That's all there is to it. The money you spend on Christmas, you can pay for your life insurance for a year. And here's the other thing about not shopping for Christmas. What's it like not being in the malls or shopping for people? Hey man, do you have this toy? And if I am going to get somebody a gift, I tell my kids, send me the link. Send me the link. I'll open it. If I feel like getting it, I'll get it. But what you're not going to do is have my black ass up in these stores with all these idiots out here looking for gifts. Black Friday, people fighting, breaking arms and legs. And Walmart got a TV that's $40 cheaper, and you're going to dent your car and get into a fist fight because you're trying to get $40 off a TV, and you have 6 TVs already. Man, y'all, I'm telling you, black people, this year, we boycott Christmas. Unless Jesus show up and say, hey, y'all need to buy each other a gift. Because in the Bible, I don't remember them talking about no gifts. Thou shalt give at Christmas time. Who the hell made that up? Like, let me back up off religion. The best religion is a religion of taking care of yourself. It's easier to be religious if your stuff's in order. Ain't nothing like sitting in church, know you broke as hell, and the basket come around, you gotta go to the bathroom all of a sudden. I was cold with it. When the basket came, I was like, hallelujah, pass. And don't sit in the front row. You know what I'm saying? So, black people, we are the most resilient people in the world. If we stop eating ourselves alive, right? Like, I was watching your show. Like, we fight each other. Like Kanye made a comment about Lizzo, and oh Lord. So instead of the stock market, that was perfect opportunity to buy stock options on Carnival, Nordstrom's, JP Morgan. We're talking about why Kanye, and I didn't hear it. I guess he made a comment about her weight. I'm sure it was something he tried to put in a nice fashion.
It went over like a lead balloon. It was horrible.
I didn't see it. I'm gonna go back. I am watching his Tucker. What's his, the Fox guy? Tucker. I'm gonna watch that episode because Kanye is, some of the stuff he does is questionable. I get it. I'm not a fan of Candace Owens. I don't know why he was with the White Lives Matter. I haven't watched the full interview yet, but that type of stuff we get caught up in. Kanye is the richest black man to ever live, outside of Mansa Musa. Period. And he said that. I'm the richest black person ever. And I was like, what kind of shit is that? But let me ask you guys another question. Is who's worse with his mouth, Kanye West or Donald Trump? Just think about it for a second. Who's worse? Just think about it.
You said Kanye or Donald Trump?
Uh-huh. Who's
with
worse?
Their mouth?
Yeah. Who says the craziest stuff? You know what I'm saying?
But probably both of them at this point.
Can you imagine Trump as president and Kanye as vice president? That actually would be a good ticket. I'll be watching the news every day.
It's a good comedy show at best.
I will vote for that ticket. That ticket would be off the hook. You know, the one thing I do like about Kanye, and you said it yourself, is people don't give him the credit for the good stuff he says. Kanye West has some really good views on black people, black wealth, and he's trying to set his school up, Donda, and teach him art and all these things. Can you imagine if every kid for 2 hours a day was forced to go learn about art, business, fashion, learn about black wealth. Can you imagine what our kids would be like? Just like our kids coming home and say, "Oh, Dad, today I learned about leverage buyouts." Oh shit! Hey, Dad, who's T. Boone Pickens? Remember Gulf Oil? How he bought the company by taking a loan out against them? That's some gangster stuff. I want to know that, like, for instance, I bought this bottle from France in 1976, and yes, I plan on drinking it before 2026. But, anyways, I'm not going to get sidetracked. Let's just stick to the money. Put the money away, and then you spend the rest of it. Put the money away, take care of yourself. Put the rest of it away. That's it. And then from there, we can do things. We can build wealth. And you guys stop with the government stuff. The government is out to get us. Of course, no shit. Wall Street is corrupt. Of course it is. That's why it works. But they are legally corrupt. Banks they set the rules for them and their buddies. And you know who signed off on it? Your politicians. Nancy Pelosi, Gavin Newsom, Trump, Turkey Neck. You know what I'm talking about. The
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all crooks. Every single one of them. You know what I'm saying? Now, like, some politicians, okay, they're better than some, but like, they're all in it for the money. Like, I'm contemplating going to see Michelle Obama here in LA. And her and Jordan Peterson are both doing a concert. Now, I don't know how that works. They're doing, and the tickets are like $400 to $1,000 to hear Jordan Peterson and Michelle Obama speak.
Hey, you could give me $200 half price to hear me speak. You ain't got to hear Michelle speak. She ain't gonna tell you nothing you don't already know.
I'm just making the point is they built their legacy and now they're taking care of them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Kanye's West, his money is everywhere. And you know how there's this thing called FU money. Kanye West is in the news for some wild shit he said about the Jews. I don't know the whole context. I haven't spoken to him about it, so I don't know. But I'm sure whatever he said, he had a good reason for it. But whatever comes out from this, Kanye has the money to say F you to the people he's in business with. F you, I'm tired of what you do to us. And we can be real, a lot of black people complain about the Jewish rule. The rappers, everybody. Ice-T said, you let a white Jew break up my crew on a Jewish record label. Now, if you listen to the song on YouTube, they bleep out the Jew part. But the point I'm making is, what if you had the kind of wealth that you could say what you really feel?
And you know what? Kanye has the money to start his own social media network. I wouldn't even doubt that he does.
Don't think it ain't coming. The dude is brilliant. You can't expect, like Kanye said it himself, crazy ideas come from crazy people. That's it. Kanye, I know from the time I spent with him, he would catch me off guard. I'd be like, whoa, what just happened? That was Kanye. But I know some critics, like he always said, I'm gonna change the world. I'm the greatest ever lived. I'm the greatest rapper. I'm gonna be the richest. He always said that. And people are like, oh, he's a dick. Shut up. But he's the richest. I'm trying to think of what rapper is even close to Kanye West. Like, seriously.
Even Jay-Z and P. Diddy put together, I don't believe they have the wealth that he has.
No. And those are both businessmen. Big baller, like Jay-Z and P. Diddy, like, regardless of what you believe about their ethics or whatever, man, those two dudes did it from the streets, built wealth, and I'm sure they hire a lot of black people. They put a lot of people on. I know for a fact Jay-Z he's the one, he didn't want to, but he, through G. Roberson and Rock the World, put Kanye on. So I know he's helped a lot of people. What if we can just focus on that? And while we're talking about Europe, you guys, Louis Vuitton, LVMH, their profits are up 20% plus over the last year. You know why? Because the dollar is stronger than the euro. So now if you go to Louis and you buy a bag that was 1,000, it's only 900. So people are buying European goods. Louis Vuitton, their earnings are through the roof. Walmart, Target, I said Target like I'm down south. Their earnings are in the trash. Louis Vuitton, their earnings are through the roof. Do you know why that is? Because when they appeal to the masses, and the euro, which I talked about last week, is lower than the dollar. So a dollar can buy more European goods. So if you're the type of cat that hasn't have a Louis bag, like one of my boys spent $7,000 on his wife's purse. And I told him, I said, you know, in Paris, that bag is 4,000 to 5,000. And you would have saved 10% tax.
What?
And the dollar is whooping the crap out of the euro. So you'd have got 3 discounts. I could have saved you $3,000-4,000 on that bag for your wife.
What does the bag do exactly?
She sits it on the table. It's a hot bag. Don't get it twisted. The bag is cracking. But the point I'm making is, and they didn't know, they know now, but they could have bought that bag, 2 of those bags, kept one for her, and flipped the other one over here. And had the money back from the bag and the bag. So you get the money in the bag. See, a lot of us have bags, but don't have money in it. Right? And you know how we get our own reparations? It's doing this. You repair the damage. That's it. Joe Biden is not, like, the fact that he's coming after Uber and Lyft and the gig workers is a direct attack on Black people. Come on, you guys. Like, who's out Uber? It's the minorities are out Uber and Lyft. Who is he coming after? Who do you think, if the IRS starts coming after the planet, who do you think they're coming after first? Because we got a Black woman as vice president. You guys think seriously he cares about Black people? George Bush cared more about Black people than Joe Biden. I can promise you that. I would go out on the limb. I would trade you this bottle of cognac from France to say that Donald Trump cares more about Black people than Joe Biden. Even if Trump didn't care about Black people, the fact that he jumped into a prison reform when we had 8 years of a brother at the helm says a lot to me. So we need to cut this government. Oh, the government's out to get us. No, of course they are. But we make moves. And you guys, it's the best time to invest. It's the best time to buy real estate. You know why? Because interest rates are up. So what are people doing? They're not going to buy. Oh, I can't buy. Interest rates are too high. So prices are coming down, down, down. Wouldn't it make sense to buy a house at a 30% discount and pay 7% interest and wait 2 years for the rates to come down and refinance that house that you got cheap? That's what the ballers are doing out here. That's what the money's doing. What do you think BlackRock is doing? They're buying properties, and these hedge funds are going out buying these properties, and when the interest rates change, they'll refinance and they'll own everything. This is the best time to buy a house because you're not like sitting at an open house with 40 people that putting in an offer. One of my clients did an open house. She said 2 people came in. She's texting him, hey, you love the house? How's the house? Did you like it? But 6 months ago, she'd been like, kiss my ass from the front to the back and side to side, take it or leave it. Now is the best time to buy real estate. You buy an apartment building, anything over 4 units, you can buy that building and use the income from that building on your income statement to qualify to buy that place. Buying a 5 unit is easier than buying a single family home. Buying a 10 unit building is easier than buying a single family home. But for the life of me, I don't understand why people still put so much energy into a home. I would rather pay rent and let my investment properties pay for my rent, which is exactly what I'm doing. I rent this place here.
Absolutely. So anyway, we could be here all day. Next Wednesday, I will not be here. I am going to be in Florida for a couple of days. So next Wednesday, we will not be here, but maybe we'll move it to another day or what have you. Yeah, I'll be here Sunday. So anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for being here. We love and appreciate you. Everybody that came on here. Facts, not feelings. Who else? One who cares. Mind Games Uncut. So glad you're finally able to catch me.
Yeah, and hit the Venmo. What's your Venmo? Your Cash App? Y'all need to pay this sister so she can grow this network. Do you understand? This is knowledge that we're putting out there, and you guys, and you pay you feed you pay the person, or you donate to the person that feeds you. You understand what I'm saying? So dollars add up, $5, $10, whatever. We want to get used, because this is a show that my sister does for free, right? And I know it takes her a long time to put the show together. I just show up at 3:05 and drop the knowledge.
Well, yeah, 5:10, 5:15.
What are you talking about?
Yes, indeed. And Jedi Skywalker, how you doing? I see your very wonderful and colorful comments. So again, y'all, we love and appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Yes, we do have ways to donate to the channel. If you want to help, become a member at the very least. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. We will see y'all all on Sunday, and I'll be back here with Donovan. Look for my videos throughout the week. So, and also on the African Diaspora News channel, I am over there as well. So go and check all those great videos out with the wonderful brother Phil Scott. So we will see y'all later. Peace.